Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Backstage Spotlight. Today, all the way from America, we've got Sophie Carmen-Jones. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I mean, the time difference for us right now is crazy. It's 4 p.m. for me, but it's only 11 a.m. for you, so you've got the whole day ahead of you.
I know. It's actually 12 because our clocks went forward an hour or back an hour. I can't ever remember. Daylight saving
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So there's like a 4 hour difference between us at the moment, but usually
Oh,
there is five.
yeah, not too bad then. So,
No.
how did you find yourself over in America? Do you want to let us know what you
In the big apple. So
I know.
basically, I was in the original London company of Moulin Rouge. I did that for a year, and then a couple months after, the director called me and asked if I'd come over here and play the same role that I played there here. And
Yes.
I've been here since. It's been almost 2 years, but I'm on a different show now. But yeah, I've been in New York for almost 2 years.
Wow. I mean, Broadway's just the dream, isn't it? How does it compare to the West End?
Oh my gosh. I mean, this could take up the whole podcast talking about the differences. Literally, there are so many differences.
Really?
Fun, it's the same. You're doing a show, it's the same
Yeah.
thing, but this the whole structure, the way that they structure the company is completely different. Um, yeah, rates are very different, rate of pay, which people are always very interested to hear about, because equity is much stronger over here. But life is much more expensive over here. Yeah, it's I don't know, theatre is it feels to me like theatre's celebrated more here. Like the stage door situation here is wild. Like, you can be there for like 15 minutes. People just want everyone in the company to sign their playbills. Um, yeah, there are so many differences. It's crazy.
Wow. I mean, when you just think of Broadway, it's like unreachable, but I suppose the fact you're in it, it must just be
Mhm.
like living the dream every day. And even to be on West End and originating roles, I feel like we need to go back for all of the viewers. So
Okay.
have you always wanted to do performance? Is there anything when you were younger that you could have done as a career? Like people say they wanted to be hairdressers, stuff like that.
No, all I ever wanted to do was sing, dance, and act from as long as I can remember. Yeah, I was that kid.
So cute. So when did you realize that you actually wanted to do it as a career?
I always say this story. I think it was about I think I must have been about 11 when I watched the Chicago movie, which is funny because obviously now I'm in the show, so full circle moment. But yeah, I watched the movie. My mum took me to the cinema. I think it was in Odeon in Swansea, and Catherine Zeta-Jones was playing Velma. And my mum told me that the lady that was playing that role was actually from where I'm from. And I saw that as like representation of like, well, I can do this too. For real, I can do what I love and get paid for it for the rest of my life. Sign me up.
Oh, that's so special. So then obviously you must have been doing a lot of dance on the side alongside school, and then you went on to train at Lane Theatre Arts. And how was your time at college?
Yeah, well, I actually went to Tring before that. So at
Ah,
14, I
yes.
went to arts education school Tring. I think it's called something else now. I think it's just called Tring Park.
I think it
Um, and those were probably like my best two training years of my life because I was 14. I only had to do half day school. The rest I could do like singing, dance, and acting in the afternoon. I felt like I was in Hogwarts. It was a boarding school. I wasn't one of those kids that like suffered with homesickness. I was just like thrilled
you're
to be
having your
there.
best life.
Yeah. And then it was always a dream to go to Lanes because my mum took me to the summer school one year. And I actually won the scholarship at the summer school to go back the
Oh,
second year. I don't know if they do that anymore.
they
They
do.
used to
Yeah.
like,
I actually work the
they
summer
do?
school.
Oh, amazing. Well, yeah, so I went twice and I loved it. So I really wanted to go. So at 16, I then went to Lanes for 3 years and I had a great time.
Yeah.
Loved it.
What are your highlights from training? Do you remember your first day?
No, but you know what? So many of my best mates do. Like Laura, I'm still really, really good friends with my friend Laura Emmett, who's actually just gone into the cast of Wicked in London as the first ever standby, no, the first ever alternate Elphaba. They usually only have a standby, where she's
Wow.
actually the first. show every week, which is amazing. But yeah, she always laughs about how on the first day she remembers me coming in and like looking amazing. Now, apparently, I was wearing Versace jeans, which is hilarious because I don't remember. I think we probably would have bought them from TK Maxx in Swansea, because I definitely wouldn't have owned a lot of designer clothes. But yeah, I don't really remember much. I remember just having a really good time. I remember enjoying my first few years more than my last because I felt like in my last year, I just wanted to get out there and start working. I was feeling really like keen to get out, but I think I'd already been doing a lot of training, like from 2 years at Tring being almost full time, sort of like half full time. Then at Lanes, I felt so ready and raring to go, which is hilarious. So I was 18. It's like, calm down, you're still a baby. But I was just so keen to get out there. And yeah, my first job was on the West End. So I proper lucked out and just had a really good start. Thanks to, Lanes giving us that platform and having the agent there is such a head start in the industry. So
Definitely.
yeah, it was a great time.
And that show was We Will Rock You.
Yes, correct.
What was about that? I mean, the first West End as well. How did you feel?
Oh my God, it was like all my dreams had come true getting that job. It was just, yeah, the best feeling in the world. And I loved the show. I made friends for life on it. Like it was such a fun show to be a part of. Like anyone that's done a show will understand that like the backstage sort of layout really affects like how much fun you can have in a show. And the way that that show was laid out, because it was at the Dominion, it was massive. So the backstage, we called it Wardrobe Village, was like right behind the stage. So the whole ensemble was back there, like between every number, all together, like the full ensemble. So it was just carnage. We were just like having so much fun every single day. Like the things that we would get up to back there, crazy. But yeah, I had the absolute best time, best year on that. Loved it.
I love that. So, what a lot of people don't realize is that as a performer, to get these jobs, like not only do you need to be good at what you do, but you also need to be good at the craftsmanship of auditions. So, would you like to tell
Mm.
me about your audition experience and your kind of process and how you feel about auditions? Because I assume you've probably done a lot by now with all.
Loads.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And first, I'm just gonna start by saying people don't see the no's that you get. So if you're a performer listening to this, you might look at my CV and think, oh my God, she's done loads, she probably gets everything she goes for. Not the case at all. We all get so many no's. I obviously don't get loads of jobs that I go up for. And especially as you progress, I mean, especially when you start out, and then there's also a period of, and a lot of people that have been in the industry a while might feel this, that when you're sort of trying to steer your career in a certain direction or moving away from musical theatre, trying to do more TV and film, or you're just wanting to cover or just wanting to do lead roles, when you're getting a bit sort of pickier or, a bit choosier with what you're doing, that can really affect sort of the amount of things you audition for. So then you become, you don't audition for as many things. But yeah, I don't know, my process depends on what it is, but it's always prepare. Like I will always do the most preparation I possibly can. And as awful as it is, but especially if I really want the job, like if you really want the job, then prepare. Go to a vocal coach, go over the material, practice your lines a million times, like work on the script with a coach or just a friend, like read the lines with other people so you're really prepared when you go in, like really think about the character, think about the role you're up for, think about, yeah, just do the work. Like I think that is so important. And I've always been someone that does a lot of preparation. Like I went in for like a rep theatre play situation for it to learn like three different scenes from three different plays. And I'll never forget them going, wow, you're so prepared. And I was like, yeah, because I really want this job. Like at the time I was really wanting to do more acting and hoping to get taken more seriously as an actor. So trying to do straight plays. And so I was like, of course I've done the prep. Like I really want this job. Like it would blow my mind to ever not do all the prep that you possibly can.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised though because well, the turnaround time for auditions already in itself is difficult, but some people do go in unprepared and it does
And
have
of
an
course, sometimes, if you can't. sometimes you are sent music the day before, or you have been working and you can only do so much. Like, that's understandable. You can only do what you can, but always do the most that you can. Like, if you've been sent a script the night before and you had plans to go out, the question is, how much do you really want the job? Like, are you willing to cancel the meal? Obviously it's a special occasion, then don't, but you still got to live your life. But it's sort of, it's how much you want these things and where your priorities are. And
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned, getting a vocal coach. How much of that do you do? Because it's important to know that once you've left college, that's not your end, you're not your end product. You can still work on yourself, you can go to class, you can get your singing lessons. And how often would you recommend like a new graduate do that?
I'll be completely honest, when I first graduated, I actually didn't do barely any dance or singing classes for like a few years because I sort of focused in on the acting. So I was at, I don't even know if it's still going, but the Actors Studio in London. I went to loads because I felt like that was the area that at the time in lanes that I didn't get enough work on. Whereas at Tring, I had quite good training in acting, and I didn't get as much at Lane, so that's something I concentrated on, and it was what I was still really interested in and passionate about, and that has never stopped. I've always loved going to acting classes, um, but more recently I've been picking up a lot of sing lessons, but it sort of ebbs and flow. I wouldn't say go every single week for the rest of your life. Like, pick it up when you feel like you need to brush up more, or especially when you've got an audition that you really want, or a show that's coming in that you really want to do, then go over the material with your vocal coach, or go see an acting coach and work on the scenes or characterization for the roles in the show.
Yeah.
Certain styles. When I was auditioning for Wicked, I went back to Pineapple and did. Oh, so that's a lie, actually. I auditioned for Wicked like whilst I was in Rock You, so it wasn't long out of college. I was back in contemporary classes because I was like, I'd been doing Rock You choreography for so long. I was like, I really want to do Wicked, so I'll get back in my contemporary mode. So that's what I was doing.
I love that. So can you tell us a bit more about the acting side? Because you have done a few films and TV shows and stuff like that. And I want to know
Yeah.
what the difference is for you between a stage show and, doing work for camera, and how that's different, not having a live audience and the process of
Yeah.
filming. What's that like?
Sorry. Yeah, it's worlds apart actually. It's like your whole lifestyle is different. Like, even just the hours that you work in theatre, you're working in the evenings. Whereas unless you're on night shoots, they're usually up super early for TV and film, and wrap by like 6, 7 p.m. Film tends to shoot later. But yeah, it's a completely different lifestyle and a completely different schedule.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And how does it feel having what you've created to look back on, whereas on the stage it's like one and done with every performance?
Yeah, well, it is and it isn't, because often, especially in the long runs that I've done, it isn't one and done because you've got it the next night to do again. But
Cool.
it is for that moment. It is, yes, you live in that moment, you move on, but then you've got another chance tomorrow. Whereas on screen, and I'm not a lead in these movies. I've often danced in these movies, so and the TV stuff I've played, very small minor roles. So you are not the most important person on set, far from it. So if you can't be the one that to mess up, or they're not going to go again, they're not going to do another take for you, or they certainly shouldn't have to do another take for you. So the pressure is actually higher in a way that I think than in theatre, because even though, yes, you've got a live audience that if you mess up, that's in front of them, but on for film, it's like if you mess up, you're probably never going to get booked by that director again. It doesn't look very good. You haven't done a good job. And I don't know, it feels like, I don't know, those moments when they've shouted action and you go, and it feels super intense because they don't really want to have to go again. So you're like, this could be my one shot that is then in this movie forever and ever. I want to nail it. Or, this TV show that, like, I hope that does really well and that everyone sees. And I hope that I say this line in a realistic and natural way. And I hope this scene looks good. Yeah, I feel like TV and film can actually be higher pressure, even though, yes, you can go again. When you're not the one that's the lead, it's like they're not going to go again for you.
Did you dance in Rocket Man?
Yes. Yeah, I was one of the core team of Adam Murray, who choreographed it. He had a core team of dancers that sort of were just bodies for him to work out like all of the movement sequences in the movie and some of the scenes with the actors too. So yeah, it was my first time being on a movie for that long. And we filmed during the summer, and it was like an amazing summer. We were outside loads. It was such a fun experience the whole time. You know, dancing along to Elton John's music as well. But yeah, it was awesome.
Oh, amazing. Let's talk about Chicago because that is what you are doing at
Woo!
the moment. Would you like to tell us what role you're playing?
I am playing the Velma Kelly.
Amazing. That is such a full circle moment, like you said earlier, like watching it as a child and now actually being in the show must just feel incredible.
Yes, mad. It's proper mad. I actually first played the role almost 10 years ago, which makes me feel really old. But I was baby Velma when I was 24. I got cast on a UK tour. Um, so my journey with the show has been, it's been a long one. I would never have thought back then ever that I would have played it on Broadway. You wish. You think, oh my God, wouldn't it be amazing one day to play this on Broadway? But you never imagine it. And then I auditioned for it about a year ago over here because they were looking for Roxy's, but my agent called and was like, "Hey, Sophie's over here. I know she's not a Roxy, she's a Velma, but can she come in and meet with the team here? Because it's a completely different team here. Um, so well, mostly different team anyway. There are a couple of the same people. But yeah, so I auditioned here, and I'd actually they did ask me to go in sort of like a couple of months after, but I'd signed on in Moulin Rouge to do another contract with them. So I thought, oh, maybe I've missed the boat, but you always just have to trust in timing. And when I finished that contract in Moulin Rouge, they gave me a call and asked me to hop over the road, and now there I am.
Amazing. What is your track like from night to night? Is it quite busy as Velma?
Yeah, I mean, they always say that like Roxy's the marathon and Velma's the sprint because for the first Velma has all like the show stopping, belty, full out dancing numbers from like all that jazz. She's in cell block with all the girls. Um, can't do it alone. She sings best friend. And then top of act two, you've got the opening into Velma Takes the Stand, which is a full out dance number. Yeah, every number is like balls to the wall, going mad, like 110%. But then I do have a lot of offstage time that's like chilling. But in a way, it's difficult because you can't just be chilling because you've got to stay warm and stay like in the right zone to come back on. So I always have like a little chill, but then I like get back in zone and start like limbering up again, kick the legs a few times, and then back on.
Oh, that's brilliant. So, how do you maintain your physical and vocal health during busy periods and times where you might feel more run down?
Good question. Specifically during busy periods, I'm such a doer. I'm like I do the most literally all the time. But during busy periods, I always prioritize rest. Sleep is everything. So prioritizing that and prioritizing rest and good nutrition, I think is my main thing when I'm busy. So I was busy when I was crossing over with Moulin Rouge and Broadway a little. Moulin Rouge and Chicago for like a few weeks. So I wasn't doing my extra gym workouts or anything like that during that time because I was prioritizing rest, eating really well, hydrating, and always making sure I do good warm ups and cool downs, especially with my voice. I make sure I do a cool down. Whereas sometimes I don't do a physical cool down. I'm not going to lie. I figure that the walk home is my cool down, but vocally I do because personally I need that.
Yeah. So, how about if you're feeling unwell and you're feeling a bit of a strain in your voice? Would you push through or would you take a step back?
Totally depends. If anything ever feels painful, then no, don't push through because you don't want to cause damage. But I can sometimes sing when I'm sick, but you also don't want to bring sickness into the theatres. So you have to know and respect your fellow actors, which I think people here are really good at. Whereas in the UK, there's a bit of a mentality of like cracking on. And I am the worst for that, but I am British. So like, I think it's in our, especially my generation anyway, it's in our blood to be like, no, just like power on through. But then
Yeah.
sometimes you're like spread virus. So it's like, I don't know what's best. Whereas here, I think it's almost respected more that if you're sick, don't make other people sick. So, when you're at your height of sickness, maybe don't come in, which is it's great actually. I think there is a good balance that needs to be had, but also knowing when you can power through like a drizzly, whatever you call it, sniffly nose or just a little tickle in the throat.
Yeah, for sure. How do you like life in New York? Do you think you've well adapted to it, or are you going to come back to the UK soon?
Oh my gosh, I love working here. The working on Broadway is fantastic. I'm not going to lie, it's amazing for so many reasons. It is absolutely wonderful. So I love working here, but I do really miss London. I miss my fiance. He lives in London. He also travels a lot and comes here loads. So we make it work, but I miss like living with him full time. I miss loads of my friends, loads of my best mates at home. I miss them. I miss London in general. I love London. I love the vibe. But, you know, New York's also wicked cool and it's got a great vibe. And what an experience being here and like living here. I've been here through all the seasons. I've seen Central Park in the snow, in the spring, in the summer. Like it's gorgeous. So yeah, I really can't complain right now, but I do love London.
London's like, it almost probably feels small compared to New York.
Well, no, do you know what? London is bigger than New York. New York feels
Oh,
small, which
no.
is so funny because, yeah, people don't realize that. But when you spend a bit of time here, you're like, it's actually very small. It's just extremely densely populated, and there's lots of high rises. So it's like, yeah, but it's actually much smaller. Manhattan is smaller. Obviously, you've got Brooklyn as well, which is massive. So, if you were to explore Brooklyn and Williamsburg as well, then it does get bigger. But Manhattan itself is tiny, whereas London is huge.
Yeah.
So, all in London, when people from here ask me about things to do in London, I'm like, 4 days, 5 days is not enough. Whereas you could do all the neighborhoods in New York in 5 days easy. It's all so close together.
Because you think, like, when you think of New York, it's just like huge everything, like big everything.
Yeah,
Then now you're saying that, I'm like, well, it is actually all just built up, isn't it? So it's probably all like tight,
yeah,
but just tall and big. But that's
yeah.
yeah, like that. That's amazing. Um,
Mm.
Thinking about your future, you probably, I don't know, you might have a few answers to this question, but if you could pick a role that you've never done before, it can be stage, screen, like any job, future, that's like still your dream, still on your bucket list. Do you have any?
Oh my gosh. I think to be honest, to create a show would be a dream, to be part of the creation of it and be able to put so much of yourself into it would be a dream. Um, Having stepped into lots of roles that many other people have played and, someone else has originated, it must be, you can tell there are so many things, that were there are in the show because of them, whether
Yeah.
that be a certain notes even or like certain definitely always kicking on the left or always kicking on the right or there's like certain things that are clearly so specific to the person that created it, so to be able to be that person and have input into the creative process would be amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, in terms of to like TV wise, I would love to be in a Welsh like true story. Like I love true stories, anything based on truth or inspired by true events. I love because I just love like the importance of retelling stories that people should know about. Like even recently watching things like um did you watch that thing on ITV about the postmasters in the UK that were all there was like loads of people that own post offices in the
I
UK
heard about this.
had
I've
all
not seen it though, but I have
it
heard about
was yeah they were all accused of like stealing money basically all because of this new software that was incorrectly doing the accounts, and they were accusing the sub postmasters of stealing, and all these people, it ruined their lives. They're just normal people running businesses and it ruined their lives, and there was a drama about that I wouldn't have known about that story had I not. And then hope it brings and now they're like reopening some of the cases and trying to get them more money back. And I just love that dramas and what we do can actually bring good to people's lives if you shine a light on those events. So that would be a dream, really, to like, and because I'm Welsh, to do a story based in Wales, and about Welsh people would just be a dream.
Would you ever be interested in being on like the actual creative side in terms of like the writing, the producing, the casting, that sort of thing?
I don't think it's naturally sort of been something I've lent towards because I love performing so much. It's like literally, even when I do a self tape, I enjoy it. I'm a crazy person. I enjoy self tapes. Like, I love it. So I haven't found myself doing that. But whenever I help friends out with choreography and stuff, like I enjoy being a body for other people. Like I enjoy being like a vessel to help them create their ideas. So at the moment, I'm not in a position where I've sort of wanted to create my own, but I would never say never. Like as I get older and maybe my lifestyle changes, if I have kids and can't perform as much or don't want to perform as much, maybe I will. But at the moment, I'm
Yeah.
just like, get me on that stage, get me on the screen. I love it. Let me tell these stories with my voice.
Ah, if you could pick any job that but it can't be
Mm.
performing, like a muggle job, what would it be?
Oh, oh my God. Do you know what? It might be a researcher for documentaries.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Really?
I do like a deep dive on research anyway. Like I watch something that's true like that, and then I'll be on a deep dive anyway on Wikipedia, and then I'm on these like random blogs reading about did that person ever get any compensation for what they did, and then their daughter now, and I'm like crazy person researching all this stuff. So yeah, maybe a researcher for documentaries or something.
You in your downtime, like how do you relax from work? Because it even though it's like such a great job to be able to perform and do what you love, it is work and there's a part of it where you have to be like, okay, now I need time for myself. How does that look in your life?
Probably watching telly, to be honest, like watching good series. At the moment, I'm really into Severance on Apple TV and White Lotus, of course.
Oh,
So catching up on that. I am quite a social person, so I love meeting friends for coffee.
nice.
I do enjoy going to the gym and stuff like that. So, you know, doing class, things like that is a nice something to do outside of the show. Yeah,
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah, really good. Okay, the last question I always ask my guests is you have to nominate someone that has to come on the podcast and impart their knowledge. It can be someone you've met, it can be someone that you've worked with, it can be someone that you
Oh
don't.
my gosh.
Who are you going to pick? It can be anyone in the industry.
I'm thinking actually, because I've mentioned her already, Laura Emmett,
Oh,
because she's had an incredible career in the West End and she went to Lanes with me and she's the first ever alternate alphabet about to start in a
yeah.
show that's so right now because of the movie. Um, she was in the original London company of Frozen, so I feel like she'd be a good person to talk to. And she's had a very different career path to me. So
Yeah, great. I will reach out to her and hopefully we'll get her on. But thank you so much, Sophie, for coming and chatting to
you're
me.
so welcome.
I hope that everyone has enjoyed listening. Go follow Sophie and all her New York antics because it's great. It's great to see what's going on across the pond, as they say. Um, Thank you so much. Take care. Have a lovely rest of your day, and hopefully we'll speak soon.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Bye.